Hey, I'm Terry Hashimoto, the founder of Swing Balance and the co-founder of BodiTrak. Have you ever had a shaft that you just loved, that fitted your game just perfectly? Today we're going to explore why that shaft fitted you perfectly and how we can find that shaft for you again easily. One of the things that I discovered using BodiTrak was that there were 5 distinct traces for a driver: linear, lateral, fish hook, heel to toe, and Z trace. I'm just going to take an easy swing here, very, very easy swing. Then we'll get off the mat. All right, so we have 5 color-coded shafts: the light green for the linear, the dark green for the lateral, the black for the fish hook, the yellow for the heel to toe, and the red for the Z trace. Let's see how I matched up with this green shaft that I just swung. All right, as you can see, I matched up with the yellow shaft, and that had a force there of approximately 28,000 units. Now, what those units are, call them ice cubes if you want, it really doesn't matter. But basically, this is force equals mass times acceleration plus one other metric in our secret sauce. So now to fit me up properly, all I would do is really replace the light green shaft with the yellow shaft. And then of course I would use launch to validate the data. It's really that simple. All right, so the 5 key traces for the driver are linear, straight back and straight through. That's basically load unload profile. So you're gonna load it up very even on the way back and very evenly on the way down. The next one's the lateral, where you get a little bit into the toes, you're getting a little excited, so you're loading it up a little heavier on the way down. Then you're getting into the fish hook, which is, now you're getting really excited, you're getting into the toes, so you're jumping on it a little bit more. Then you've got the heel to toe trace, where it goes straight back to the trail heel and into the lead toe. And then you just slam on the brakes. And then you've got the Z trace, where you go, it's heel, toe, and pull back. Now let's talk about this a little bit. So your low profile for a linear trace is very even. You take it back fairly smoothly, you unload it very evenly. The second, the lateral trace, you're starting to get excited, you're unloading it a little bit quicker, same with the fish hook trace. And then in the heel to toe trace, what you're doing is you're jamming on the brakes on the lead side, and that shaft, for example, has the heaviest tip section of any of our shafts, so that when you rotate your hands to compensate, that the shaft can keep up with you. Now, the Z trace is rather tricky, because now you're using a heel to toe trace, and now you're pulling back in your pressure, but your hands still go forward. So that shaft pattern is completely different than any one of these shaft trace patterns. When you build a graphite shaft, what you're doing is taking layers of graphite and wrapping them around a mandrel in a specific pattern. Then they call it biases. So you can change the angle of various layers to make them stiffer along the length of the shaft. And that's how you change where the shaft is rigid at certain specific points, and we call those shaft patterns. Before I was even involved with BodiTrak, I was a shaft manufacturer and club manufacturer, so I had a lot of experience in fitting, developing the world's first speed-rated series of shafts in the early and mid-90s. Now what's cool is I worked with True Temper and the Acura Performance Division, shared with them our knowledge of load on load profiles, and we came up with 5 specific different shaft patterns: linear, lateral, fish hook, heel to toe, and Z trace. And each one of these shafts will accommodate not only your trace, but the force factor. All right, so where it gets tricky is when you see a person with a linear trace and very high forces. A golfer like Justin James and John Daly, who I couldn't believe, but they both have linear traces but massive forces. So we have shafts to accommodate you either by trace and or by force. Is it perfect? No, but it's very, very good. And our goal is to make it as easy for you with the professional club fitter as possible. All right, so what we did with BodiTrak is we included this matrix into the new UI of the software. So it's broken into 1, 2, light green, dark green, black, yellow, and red. And you can see they each have categories: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you're on the high side of this particular color, you can tip trim that shaft up to 1 3/4 inches to make it even more resistance, or increase the loads that you can put onto that shaft in the most effective manner. So it's not a perfect system, but it's a very, very good system. And what it does, it allows you to make money using BodiTrak for shaft fitting, because really every good shaft fitting session is a mini lesson. So why not take advantage of both? Learn how to increase the trace, improve the trace, generate more power, and earn a little bit more money doing so. Terry Hashimoto with Swing Balance and BodiTrak.